The John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, it's happened yet again. First, it was delayed in 2023. Then it was delayed in 2024. Then it was delayed in 2025. And now, once again, the LAX People Mover has been delayed to late 2026.
Who's in charge of that people mover? American Airlines?
This is an airport that is perpetually under construction, yet nothing ever actually gets done there.
You know what it is? If an airport was the living room set on Murphy Brown, that would be it. Whenever you do one of these projects, the expectation usually is at some point it's done. And I'm 46 years old. I think LAX has been under construction since I was in the womb.
And it will continue to be under construction forever and ever and ever.
And it takes forever to get around that horseshoe, too.
That's why they said they wanted a people mover. And here we are, 7 years later, no people mover.
Okay, here is the advice that I have for you. Fly out of Ontario. It's a lot easier, it's a lot cleaner, and it's not always under construction. Fly out of Burbank. Fly out of Orange County. Fly out of Long Beach. Fly out of Palm Springs. But stay far away from LAX.
I mean, LAX does have some good lounges.
Yeah, but they took out all of the restaurants that you know. Burger King is gone, and they have Homeboy Bakery. The last thing I want is a sandwich made by a bunch of gang members. You're going to bite into your Reuben, and you're going to taste a Glock. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Well, yesterday, the chair of the California Democratic Party made national news when he put out a statement telling all of the candidates running for governor who aren't in the lead or who aren't in the, I guess, the top of the pack to drop out of the race, saying if they didn't do that, the Democratic Party risks having 2 Republicans on the November ballot. After hearing what the chairman of the party had to say, all of the candidates he was referring to told him to pound sand.
Well, and not only that, you saw the video we played from Tony Thurmond calling this racist because they're only asking the candidates of color to drop out. Although Rusty will say, we didn't say anyone specifically should drop out. But then you have this fight to the death between whoever is running Antonio Villaraigosa's social media and whoever is running Javier Becerra's social media that is pretty much a tit for tat. You drop out. No, you drop out. No, you drop out.
It was very entertaining to watch on X last night.
I feel like this race is going to get a lot uglier in the days following.
Well, just wait till Katie Porter gets involved. That's when the F-bombs will start flying.
Paul! For more on the current state of the governor's race, we're in for a treat. They're using him for everything this week. Here's Fox 11 and Ed Laskos.
New at 9, the race for California governor is heating up, and tonight the state's Democratic Party chair has a bold message for some candidates. Step aside. But could this shakeup actually change who makes it?
By the way, with the same day, Thurmond and Yee filed their papers. They're like, nope, we're in this thing.
I love the fact that the California Democratic Party thought this was a good idea, where they have a chairman who's a white guy from Arkansas, and he decides to put pen to paper. Now, I don't want to mean anything racist by this, but all you minority candidates running for governor, get to the back of the bus.
But could this shakeup actually change who makes it to the November ballot? Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Laskos in West LA with more tonight. Ed.
Marla, locked out is a big concern.
If you're wondering why Ed's in West LA, it's because that's where the Fox 11 studios are, and there really wasn't anywhere to put him.
Budget cuts.
Marla locked out as the
Well, where are you going to do a live hit for a story about the Democratic Party chair? It doesn't really matter, so you might as well do it on Bundy outside the studios.
Well, if you want a little local flavor, how about doing it outside a certain residence in Irvine so you can hear the screaming?
No.
Then you'd have to sit in that traffic on the 405 for that.
Little D.
Well, maybe she'll give you some of the minestrone.
Marla locked out is a big concern as you're talking about it there with the leadership of the California Democratic Party, especially when it comes for the race for governor. You know how it works, right? When you talk about the primary coming up early June, in our state, we have an open primary, which means candidates from all different parties compete against each other. The top two vote getters there, if they don't get over 50%, then you have the top two vote getters. They wind up facing each other in the general election for governor. That comes up in November. But if you're
I'm telling you, if this two Republican thing happens, the top two primary system will be abolished in California.
Oh, it'll be abolished before the end of January.
But if you look at the numbers now, you look at the polls, it would suggest that perhaps the top two vote getters could both be Republicans and not one Democrat on that November ballot. Watch.
I'm a no gimmicks, no nonsense, straight shooter.
The fight to become California's next governor and the bombshell developments that now threaten to lock out any Democrat from the November general election.
There's a small chance, but if it did happen, I think so many people think that it would be so catastrophic that they are trying to do everything they can to avoid it.
That would
They sounded the alarms.
By the way, I was looking at that predictor. The odds have now increased to just under 1 in 3.
Oh, boy.
That warning comes as the voter data just doesn't add up for Democrats in the gubernatorial race, and it now has the top of the state's Democratic Party reeling.
It's just a math problem, and it might be this kind of worst case scenario for Democrats.
Doing the math, stay with me now. The Republican vote is usually 40%, meaning the top two candidates leading the polls now, Steve Hilton and Sheriff Chad Bianco, would split that vote about 20% each. The remaining 60% would go to the Democrats, but it is a vote that's split through a crowded field of candidates.
If, say, 8 candidates are splitting up that 60%, I think just you can think about that or visualize it that, oh, it's going to be hard for any of those candidates potentially to get to more than 20% to beat those Republicans.
And let's not forget how many other candidates are running in, not just those candidates that we talk about on a regular basis. If any of them just get 1%, that changes this game dramatically. There's 60 people running.
And think about the implications of this. If we have a November election where there's no presidential election because it's an off cycle, there's no U.S. Senate race that's being contested, and you have 2 Republicans at the top of the ticket on the ballot for governor, the Republicans will likely win all of these contested congressional races and state legislative races because there's no reason for Democrats to turn out.
That has the leader of the California Democratic Party pulling a preemptive strike, calling on his candidates to take, quote, an honest assessment of your candidacy and campaign. If you do not have a viable path to make it to the general election.
Where was the sense of urgency a week before when they had their convention and didn't endorse anybody?
No, they had their opportunity to do this, and they decided that they were just going to do something else.
Do not file to place your name on the ballot for the general election. That from the party chairman, Rusty Hicks. And it's already getting backlash from one of the candidates, Tony Thurmond, blasting his own party leadership, posting this on X.
The California Democratic Party is essentially telling every candidate of color in the race for governor to drop out. Instead, all white candidates to stay in the race.
And that's where he took a shot at Porter and Swalwell and Steyer.
It happens to be true.
He took a shot at this.
Get out of my shot.
She's not going to like that.
To me, this act doesn't reflect the Democratic Party of 2026. Aren't we supposed to be the party who embraces democracy?
Look, this guy's been running for governor for 2 years. If he drops out, what exactly is he supposed to do with his life? All he knows how to do now is run for governor.
Well, he was in charge of California public schools before that, so
Unemployable.
talk about a guy who needs to make some edits on his resume.
Now live, high political.
Hi, I'm the guy that was in charge of the schools when we decided to lock everything down. Oh, you had kids that were in school at that time? I'll see myself out.
Well, lucky for him, it's California, and no one can likely read it.
Now live, high political drama playing out, especially this week because we have the big deadline coming up this Friday. It's the deadline for the candidates to file for their candidacy. Most already have. They're expected to do so. And that's important because even though as we get closer to that primary early June, they could drop out, they could end their candidacy now.
But nobody has.
And they're not going to. And why should they?
So there you go. There's Ed Laskos explaining the letter from Rusty Hicks that is not going over well with anybody who's currently running for governor on that side.
And Gavin Newsom took a little bit of time out of his book tour and weighing in on national and international subjects to weigh in on this.
Because apparently Rusty reached out to him too. Here is Tom Wade at CBS LA with his little interview with Gavin.
Governor Newsom in the Palisades today and speaking only with CBS LA about fire recovery and his bitter divisions with President Trump and a potential Democratic Party crisis brewing in the race for governor.
CBS LA political reporter Tom Wade has the interview from the Palisades.
Governor Newsom here at the American Legion Hall in the Palisades to talk with fire victims and help them.
By the way, the reason he was here is he needed to kill some time before Kimmel.
Well, and he's going to Nevada to promote his book, I think, today.
With a path forward. But meanwhile, he's dealing with some political drama as well in terms of who will succeed him. The Democratic Party could be locked out of the governor's race.
What I love about the community is their resilience.
Governor Newsom in the Palisades, speaking with fire survivors and trying to get the word out the state is expanding a program to help fire victims pay their mortgages.
We'll help you pay your mortgage on your empty lot that we can't help you rebuild.
I love the fact that they've treated these people like trash ever since the fires burned down their homes. And now that he's looking for publicity for the book, he shows up to meet with them.
What's great about this program is it's not a loan. It's a grant. You don't have to pay it back. And what we're doing is we're providing people earning up to $281,000, increasing the eligibility. If you have a mortgage, we'll provide up to $100,000 from a state grant over a 12-month period.
And that's because the forbearance is ended. So you have a lot of people who are now having to repay mortgages when they still haven't been paid out by their insurance companies for a home that doesn't exist or is not suitable for entry.
Here's the problem, though. These people have a million problems. That's just one of them. They can't get permits from the city. They can't get anything fast-tracked. They can't get the insurance companies to pay them what they owe them. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And the government treats them like they're an annoyance. And now Newsom is showing up with this, and he's expected to be embraced with open arms?
Another major roadblock in the recovery, permit fees. The LA City Council just approved the waivers, but there's concern that it took too long.
You got to waive the fees. I mean, look, these people have been torn asunder.
Well, Gavin, it was Karen Bass that promised to waive the fees, and then that didn't happen for over a year. It still hasn't totally happened, but you endorsed her for re-election, didn't you?
Well, and beyond that, he didn't lean on her to fast track it. If you're a governor who's engaged and a mayor promised to do this and she didn't do it, you get on the phone with her and you start yelling.
You got to waive the fees. I mean, look, these people have been torn asunder. They could barely make ends meet.
I appreciate the governor coming out and meeting me, Kevin.
And much has changed since this friendly exchange on the tarmac in January, right after the fires, as President Trump arrived to survey the disaster. Trump and Newsom no longer speak. The governor says he's still waiting for Trump to unlock billions in fire recovery funds.
That day on the tarmac, he and I walked up to the press and he said he's going to be here. He's going to be back. He had a community meeting. I spent an hour and a half with him in the Oval Office. We kept our conversations going up and through the federalization of the National Guard.
Governor Newsom's stop in the Palisades comes on the heels of his cross-country tour promoting his new memoir.
Because, of course, that's what's really important going on in the state right now is Gavin's book.
Oh, yeah, and he's weighing in on everything from what's going on over in Iran to whether or not we should support Israel. If you're looking for the cliff notes, the only people Gavin hates more than anti-Semites are Jews.
and raising his national profile. But another political drama is playing out here. Who will replace Newsom? Tuesday, the chair of California's Democratic Party sent out what some might say is an SOS, a warning that too many Democrats could be diluting the field, which means in California's top two primary, the Democrats could be locked out.
And right now you have just two Republican candidates and you've got so many Democratic candidates, and it's just a percentage game. And as a consequence of that, the more there are with a fixed number of likely voters within that pool to choose, this could be a problem. That said, I'm not putting my thumb on anything at the moment.
At the moment.
Did you see, by the way, when he was asked about the governor's race, he said he wasn't paying attention to it. He didn't even know who was running.
That's what he said 2 days ago. Then this happened, and now all of a sudden he's paying attention, and he's actually said in interviews, it's my fault. I've been taking away too much attention. Nobody's paying attention to this race.
We, of course, asked Governor Newsom about his potential.
No, we don't care about his presidential run. There you go. That's what Gavin had to say. That is what Gavin Newsom had to say about the act from the California Democrat Party to put out that letter saying that we need people to drop out. I'm talking to you, Ian Calderon and Javier Baccaria and Betty Yee, and none of them are gonna. I think Ian Calderon is almost done collecting his signatures.
I love the fact that he's now complaining that Trump won't send him any money. President Trump, if you're listening to this broadcast today, as someone who lives in this state, I hope the only thing you send this a-hole is to voicemail. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Let's go to David in El Sereno. David, hello.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
The reason I'm calling is that Gavin Newsom makes a comment that California gas prices are going up. And that's because Donald Trump is causing all these issues. Well, we're not all stupid. It's because of the way California wants to get rid of the refineries. And you take a refinery like Valero that's spending $1 billion to California to get out of California. That's amazing. And as long as the people still vote for these clowns here in California, we're going to get the same old mess.
Well, here's the question that I would ask Gavin. If gas prices are President Trump's fault, why is gasoline significantly cheaper in Phoenix than it is in Needles?
Well, it's common sense. Common sense here in California as far as the people. It's because of the way they want to destroy this state in their own specific way.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Let's check out this email, and it comes from John, who writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. No matter how many times you play it, I still laugh out loud every time you play Katie Porter yelling, Paul!
It is kind of her unique calling, isn't it?
Pollywog, which is the longer version of that.
And if you want to hear that drop in the Central Valley over the weekend, you can.
Oh, I think I have quite a few Katie Porter specials coming to Fresno. So we do 15 hours a week of this, and we're having a lot of fun with it. Thanks so much for being with us. We've been doing this version of the show for like 7 years now. It's crazy. But here's the thing. You can get even more of this content if you want by getting The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes. You could do what George Gascon does to himself because he's unemployed.
Do a Google on YouTube.
You can get the free KABC app. You can get the free KSFO app. And you can also, on top of all that, get a very special packaged version of the show that we air in the Central Valley on the big KMJ. It airs Saturday at noon. It is a special rebroadcast of the Fix California Hour, so check it out if you're ever driving through the Central Valley. 580 on the AM dial, 105.9 FM, and stream it at kmjnow.com. It's the Fix California Hour replay, Saturdays at noon on KMJ.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Kenny Wayne Shepherd to the Canyon at the Oxnard Performing Arts Center on June 21st. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-790-5222. Gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing.
All right, Randy, let's get to the root causes of how much money Kamala Harris's security is costing California taxpayers.
We are doing it.
This is a piece that came out last night from one of the best, Ashley Zavala at KCRA3, because Kamala Harris has been getting CHP security for quite some time now. The thing is, how many members of the CHP are on her detail? And does it really make sense for us to be paying for her security when she's on an international book tour? She's not an elected official in California anymore, but we're still paying to make sure that she is safe and sound. For more on this, we go to KCRA3 and Ashley Zavala.
California taxpayers are on the hook for former Vice President Kamala Harris's personal security as she travels the country for a book tour.
Political director Ashley Zavala is the first to report this story. She's here now in the studio with what we've learned so far.
Golston and Andrea, multiple sources tell me California taxpayers have been and continue to pay for the former vice president's security detail. Dozens of California Highway Patrol officers.
Dozens?
Okay, do you think that's the most desired assignment in all of the CHP, where you get to travel around in first-class accommodations with her as she sells her book around the country? Or do you think the most desired assignment is to be sent to the California Department of Insurance so you can travel around the globe with Ricardo Lara, and you can go see DJ Kitty Glitter, drop some ecstasy, and dance all night with your shirt off?
I'm very kind of sketchy.
Oh, Ricardo Lara's the better get. I mean, Kamala only went to London and then Ontario. Ricardo Lara went on a safari in Africa.
Yeah, I think I'd want that job.
Dozens of California Highway Patrol officers have been.
And by the way, there's a real racket here going on with the CHP, where the CHP claims that there are security threats. And you know what? I will believe it for Kamala Harris because she ran for president and is an international figure. Nobody knows who Ricardo Lara is. He does not need a CHP security detail.
No, that's just to make him feel like a big shot so he doesn't ever have to wait in any line.
Well, I don't even know. According to reports that we've had, it's not even the elected officials that make these requests. It's the CHP saying there's some kind of threat. But is this the CHP a way to get a whole bunch of overtime for some of their officers who are doing things besides trying to shut down street takeovers or pull over people in the carpool lane?
Oh, and think about the job that CHP officers have to deal with. They have to drive around in California traffic. Occasionally, there's an awful accident where they have to take a spatula and scoop some guy off the road. And when they get assigned to the California Department of Insurance, instead of having to deal with all that blood and guts and gore, they just get to go from Four Seasons Hotel to Four Seasons Hotel. If I were a CHP officer, I'd be down too.
Dozens of California Highway Patrol officers have been traveling with her in and out of the state and in some cases the country for her book tour. Everyone we spoke to for this story.
Think of all those CHP officers that got punches on their passport.
Seeing the world.
Although in the EU now, they don't even let you do that anymore because they have this whole new fingerprint system. So no passport stamps for you.
I kind of like getting the stamps, don't you?
Of course. It makes you feel like you accomplished something in your life. And if you go 10 years and you don't have a stamp in there when you renew your passport, you need to rethink your life choices.
One of the funniest things that ever happens is when your plane lands in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and some guy who has been sitting in first class drinking vodka tonic after vodka tonic after vodka tonic gets off the plane and wants to know where he gets his passport stamped.
You're in America, bro.
Everyone we spoke to for this story acknowledged the intense political moment we're in right now and the threats facing her and people in both political parties. But we're asking the question, don't taxpayers deserve to know how their money is being used?
Why wouldn't they just tell us how much this costs?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
And since she's not a current elected official, and she hasn't been a California elected official for quite some time, and she's just going on a book tour, shouldn't she have to reimburse us for this?
You'd think so.
With several stops left on her nationwide book tour, Vice President Kamala Harris continues to use California Highway Patrol officers as her personal security. Multiple sources unauthorized to speak publicly about security matters told KCRA3 she has dozens of officers that have been traveling with her for nearly 6 months and counting.
That's quite a detail.
Well, there's lots of security threats at the Barnes & Noble.
The long list of stops have included cities across the country, plus London and Ontario. The tour continues through California this month before stops in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. She's promoting her book, 107 Days.
I thought everyone was done with that book. She's still on this tour?
Boy, this is the tour that just won't end.
That book made zero political waves. Nobody talked about it. There was no juicy dirt in it. Everyone has moved on. Gavin's in the middle of his book tour. I don't even think he has 24 CHP officers covering him.
I wonder if they're still even selling it at Costco.
She's promoting her book, 107 Days, a memoir about her brief campaign for president after Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 race. Governor Gavin Newsom's office, which ultimately...
By the way, if you're having trouble sleeping, open that book. It's 107 Z's.
I thought it was 107 days sober.
Governor
Keep it up, girl.
Governor Gavin Newsom's office, which ultimately approved the protection, said it does not comment on security arrangements. State officials won't provide specifics or say how much it's costing. Sources tell us there are still credible threats against her.
How many sworn members of the CHP are getting paid to go on vacation, whether it's with Kamala Harris or Ricardo Lara or all the other electeds that we don't even know about that get this?
Well, in their defense, they do have to put up with her.
Do you have a sense of how much this could be costing taxpayers?
All I know is it's a lot. It is a significant amount of money.
Retired California Highway Patrol officer and Republican Assemblyman Tom Lackey said state law allows for her protection because she served as California's Attorney General.
We're living in kind of an unstable environment right now. And so it's really hard to predict circumstances and people's behavior. And so she deserves that kind of protection. But
couldn't she also pay for it herself? She's pretty wealthy at this point, got a big advance for this book, and she is currently not a public servant.
Yeah, and she's no longer a California elected official. She hasn't been our attorney general for a long time.
But where the slippery slope starts to show up is the personal gain aspect, right? When someone's making an opportunity to make money, should they be provided that same protection at taxpayer expense?
The public obviously is entitled to know what the cost of that CHP personnel is.
Adjunct McGeorge School of Law professor and longtime California lobbyist Chris McCaley said former state elected officials don't typically get this kind of protection, including former governors.
I don't think there's anyone in Colusa County covering Jerry Brown.
I went to a dinner one time where Abel Maldonado was there. He's a former lieutenant governor. There were no security officers there. He didn't have a detail. He was just eating a steak.
I think folks have to examine the precedent being set, but when it comes to is it the right thing to do, yes, but how much it is costing taxpayers, that they should know.
I reached out to the former vice president for comment and more information on all of this. Again, sensitive to the security situation, but I asked her spokesperson about the costs associated with all of the travel for those dozens of officers and if she's reimbursing the state for any of these expenses with the money she's making on that book tour. We are still waiting for a response. We would also be remiss if we didn't mention that California has been grappling with back-to-back budget shortfalls, and every penny should be accounted for.
You think that number should be made available for everyone. So where's the federal government on this right now? Excuse me. And does any of this have to do with President Trump revoking her security privileges?
Sure. And it depends on who you ask about this. Former vice presidents under law typically get 6 months of federal protection once they're out of office.
Well, that ended quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Before leaving office, President Joe Biden quietly extended Harris's protection to July of 2026. A source in the Trump administration told us instead they allowed an extra 3 months for.
Wait a second. So she still has had security, Secret Service as well on top of the CHP for at least 3 of these last 6 months? What is going on?
I think it's just to make them feel like big shots.
And it seems to be a plum if you work in the CHP that you get to do this as your job instead of what you are hired for, which is patrolling our incredibly dangerous roads.
I think for presidents, it's different because I know people who live in Obama's development. It's Thunderbird Country Club in Rancho Mirage. And they say that whenever he's on the golf course, he always plays by himself. He never plays with a group. But you can always tell it's him because it looks like the Spanish Armada when you have 9,000 different golf carts coming at you. It looks like a tournament. If you've ever seen a best ball tournament or something along those lines, that's what it looks like, where there are any number of Secret Service agents who are with him, but he's the only one actually golfing. And it's kind of a ridiculous sort of looking thing, but for a former president, you understand. They were the leader of the free world. I get that. But she's a vice president. They go to weddings and funerals. It's a little different. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Kenneth writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com on Kamala and the CHP. Hey, Johnny. I've been wondering why people are so speed happy and don't seem worried about being pulled over to the CHP, or why I rarely see any CHP at all. It's because they're all watching Kamala. So you know what? Pedal to the metal, baby.
I will repeat myself.
All right, let's get that update on the construction project at LAX.
The People Mover was promised by 2023. It is now the end of the first quarter of 2026. No People Mover. Here's Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf.
New tonight, getting around LAX remains a challenge for many, and now the airport's more than $3 billion rail system faces another major delay. It might not be ready in time for the 2026 World Cup. So what's causing the holdup? Let's go live to Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf at LAX. Matthew?
Well, Christine, everyone's looking ahead to that World Cup deadline, wondering what's going to happen. Mike will show you what it looks like tonight.
What's going to happen is a whole bunch of international visitors are going to be embarrassed by our airport.
You know, when it's finally completed and you're on the People Mover and you go past Spirit Airlines, there's a fee.
Looks like.
How embarrassing is it that it's taking us this long to build something that Walt Disney completed in the 60s?
Lickety split, too.
Looks like tonight you can see over that bridge. It looks just about done, but tonight we still aren't sure when it'll open. An up-close look at LAX's highly anticipated automated people mover. The project still locked behind closed doors and fences, originally slated to open about 3 years ago.
It's also not like this is something out of the future. There are malls that have this.
We can't really get...
There are almost every other major airport has something like this.
We can't really get stuff done very quickly, and that's a shame.
Airport officials didn't return our calls or emails asking for an update on delays. You ever seen any workers working on this project?
Nope.
What do you see?
Just a train going back and forth.
But bus drivers who expect many routes to disappear once the train opens say they've been told it could be a few more months. Have you heard any updates on this?
It's supposed to open up in the springtime. Now here June, so we'll see.
In 2019, we were there.
I love the fact that this is way beyond when it's supposed to be completed. No one will give you any updates. No one will return an email or a call. No one bothers to show up to work, and everyone just kind of shrugs their shoulders like, well, this is just what we do here.
19, we were there when construction began.
It's exciting.
5 years later, the project was considered 96% finished.
So where's that last 4% been?
Oh, that's going to take a while.
But disputes between airport leaders and contractors triggered major delays.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what this is right now. This is all the unions that represent all the bus drivers for all the hotel shuttles and all the parking lot shuttles that clog up that airport.
Or someone's not paying a bribe that they want.
But disputes between airport leaders and contractors triggered major delays, while the price tag has also climbed almost $1 billion over budget.
But that's unfortunate if there's something...
I'm telling you, you know who's behind making sure this thing never opens? Wally Park.
But that's unfortunate if there's something avoidable they could have done to get it ready in time.
Right now, you have to take a bus to the Uber and Lyft lot. They're notoriously known for being absolutely packed and having massive wait times.
Pay for black. It's always worth it. They can pick you up at the curb.
I love the fact, by the way, that we have all of these elected officials who are supposed to be in charge of making sure that these projects get done on time. And you notice none of them are quoted in this article either because none of them care.
How long have you been waiting?
2 days.
That bad?
About a half hour.
It feels like 2 days.
Feels like 2 days.
It's like you don't have any room for me, but we'll try.
The nearly $3.5 billion people mover is designed to carry tens of thousands of passengers daily above airport traffic straight to rental car, rideshare, and metro lines.
You know, stuff that other airports did 20 years ago.
We'll get around to it eventually.
There's your update on LAX, everybody.
And that's why I still fly out of the other regional airports.